Hi everybody, and welcome back to Darvanalee Designs Studio. For those that don't know, my name's Nicole Reed, and today we're here for a little bit of a different video. Today we're going to be starting a new series. It's sort of a new series, but it's not a new series. So let's get started, shall we? Well, good morning or good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. Thank you for taking some time out of your day and spending it with me while I prattle on about a new series that I'm starting on the channel. And it's actually going to be twofold. It's a series that you get to see all the things that I'm working on, and a series that's going to help me get stuff finished. Because let's face it, I'm not someone that finishes stuff, am I? Like, if you've been around for a hot minute, you already know that. So this is the beginning, and I'll have just take you back a little bit for those that have been here. Remember a few years ago that I used to do a live stream on the channel, and it was called Finish It Friday when Beck used to work here. Well, Beck's left, and she's moved down to Brisbane. And it's just a little bit too far for her to come up and do stuff like that. So anyway, I had the Finish It Friday, and the reason that I started that series was because I had a ton of stuff that was partially made and all that sort of stuff, and my granddaughter came to live with me, and I didn't have time to do the markets, and I scaled back on in-house classes and all that sort of stuff. But I had a lot of stuff that was step throughs, and I had partially made stuff that I would show in classes and all that sort of stuff, and then I had a pile of market stuff that was pre-cut that I had to get rid of. And if you remember, that was the bowl cozies was the most that I had. I swear those were breeding. But anyway, I was been talking with my some of my Patreons, and also on Saturday, Slow Stitching Saturday, which I'm continuing on doing. And I thought, you know what, I might bring back Finish It Friday, but only this time it's going to be like a quilt tube. Okay, so we're going to be going through some stuff that I have and all that sort of thing, and then I'm going to make inroads to get these things finished, and then I'm going to check in. So sort of like what I do with floss tube. Okay, so floss tube, I've got a whole heap of whips, I stitch on them, and then basically I then basically show you what my progress and all that sort of stuff, and it keeps me accountable. So that is sort of what I want to do. So what I've done is I've just looked at my priority. I've got a shelf over here that has my priority projects on here. So these are projects that are almost finished. They're in the works. I work on them regularly and all that sort of stuff. But then I've also got another video that I'm going to be able to do, and that is the quilts that I have here that I need to quilt, because I always quilt everybody else's and bind everybody else's quilts and everything like that. So I don't make mine a priority. So I have a container there with things that I've got, and I know that I've got more whips, but they're packed away at the moment. So the main focus that I'm going to focus on right now are the ones that I have and I see on a regular basis. So they're the ones that I'm going to show you today where they're at. We have several. I think I've got 2, 4, 6, 7 containers there. I've got one that I'm changing the plans up on because I'm just procrastinating on it, and I think it's because it's all the little pieces, and I know that I'm pretty time poor at the moment, so I'm going to speed up that process, which you will get to see that in a little bit. And I've got other quilts here and fabric and everything that are all in these containers. So what I'm going to do is one by one, I'm going to go through those. I'm going to show you what they're about and all that sort of stuff. And let me just turn my phone to silent, because I had it on vibrate because my husband was going to ring me, and I don't hear it if it's on silent. So we evidently. So anyway, I'm going to pull up one container at a time. I'm going to show you what I have. I do have 2 quilts here. Like I've got some that are ready for quilting. They were on top, they weren't in the container. I didn't have to go deep diving for that. So I'm going to show you what they are. I'm also going to show you another project that I had on the channel, but my software crashed. And I lost the pattern, and that was my bad. I didn't back it up and all that sort of stuff. I had a lot. I've actually taken it off the channel, but I will be making it available over on my Patreon on the lowest tier. But there, just a reminder that there is no finished product at this point. I got very disheartened by that, and so I couldn't. I built it like this brick wall up for me, for myself, and I just really struggled to finish this quilt. So it was like almost like writer's block, but it was quilt block. And that. So what I'm going to do, as I said, is I'm going to go through each one. I'm going to show you what I have. I'm not going to show you any progress at the moment. This is like a whip parade, so to speak, but for QuiltTube. So this is going to be episode 1. I'm still undecided what day I'm going to put it up. So I'm thinking that it's going to be Finish It Friday QuiltTube is what I'm going to call it. So it'll probably go up on a Friday. That works really well for me because that gives me the weekend, and then a couple of days during the week to get some stuff done. And I may only ever show you one quilt at a time, or I might have got, you know, a few extra things done on that, all that sort of stuff as well. So that is what I'm going to do for the foreseeable future until I get some of these whips down. And then you can see all these things behind me. These are all quilts that need to be started, and I would really like to get into them. But I have made a deal with myself that I'm not starting anything new until I make a substantial dent in these. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I think 7 projects up there. There's one tucked behind. So I've got 7 projects up there. So I need to finish 7 containers, not quilts or quilt tops, containers with active whips in them. All right, so I'm going to move a few things around, and then when we come back, we're going to talk about the one that I lost all the pattern for. Yeah, it was my bad. I know it was my bad, but we're going to talk about that, and it's a foundation paper piecing. All right, I'm going to get myself set up, and when we come back, we'll start with that. Okay, so as I said, we had one that was going, I think this was from 2000 and I don't know. It was a long time ago. I think it was 3 years, maybe 4 years ago. I had a block of the month, and it was a foundation paper piecing one. I have done all the blocks, and I started doing the borders, which I probably could have continued on with that. But when the software crashed and I lost all of my work that I was doing, because I was working on the border was something that I knew what I wanted, and I was working on it and all that sort of stuff. And to be honest, I got a writer's block on this, and like a quilt block on this. So basically I just put it aside, and I just took all the videos down off the channel. I think I put unlisted them. They're still there, but they're unlisted, and just left it at that way. I had a couple people contact me asking about the border and all that sort of stuff. I explained the situation to them, and it just said, look, you know, all I'm going to do now is basically put a sashing on it and cornerstones and just make it into a sampler. I'm not going to have a fancy border on the side or anything like that. I'm still not going to do that because that's just added work and added stress for myself and all that sort of stuff. So I've got to the point now where I unlisted all the videos, but I am going to make them available for people over on a Patreon, on the lowest tier, and just have a disclaimer there saying that, you know, there won't be any sort of finishing video on this because I lost the program was gone, and basically I lost all the stuff that I needed for all the measurements and all that sort of stuff. And math with this, it was hard math for me. And I couldn't even figure out what the angles were and all that sort of stuff because I was using a software, and obviously my mind had got lazy, and so therefore I didn't have the capacity to do that. And I'm quite happy to admit that I did not have the mathematical capacity to do this. It almost felt like physics. And that's just way too hard. All right, so I'm just going to run through quickly what I've got. So as I said, this is a sort of a whip parade, so I'm not going to go into great detail or anything like that, but these were some of the blocks that we did. And it was a beginner's foundation paper piecing, and we did 12-inch blocks. As you can see, some of the paper is still on there, so I've got to take the paper off. But I have already put through some paper off, and I've put together my first row. So I'm just going to do basically, you can see there, that's what it's going to be. I'm just going to do 3 blocks and 4 rows down because there's 12 blocks, and I'm just going to put sashing in between. It's quite a striking quilt. I really like it, and I really would have liked to have got it finished, but as I said, I didn't. There were quite a number of people that got quite upset with me, and I just basically said, look, I'm sorry, I just can't do it. I took full responsibility for it, but there were some nasty people out there, and I just went, you know what, then I'll just unlist everything. And yeah, and be done with that. So that is another block that we have. We've got several ones here. I can't remember the names of them, but if you want to do this, as I said, this will be available over on Patreon on the lowest tier, which is $8.50 here in Australia, $5 for US, which converts to $8.50. So yeah, so you can see there, some of them were quite simple, some of them were a little bit more intricate. These have been folded up and in a container. So they're not ironed or anything like that. They've just been sitting in a container. I love this one. I think this is beautiful. I think it would be stunning to make a whole quilt with this in the red, black and white. So you can see they've been folded up, and because they've got paper on them. I mean, obviously, when I go to put them together, I'm going to give them a really good press and all that sort of stuff. This is another one that I think would be absolutely striking on a just as a block on its own. And then we have this one. And then, of course, we have this one as well, which is another very striking one as well. So all those need to be for this one is to add the rows together and then put it into a quilt. It'll end up being a single bed quilt. It'll probably get used in the lounge room or somewhere like that. But yeah, it'll go to one of the kids. I dare say that if it had grey in this, my daughter would have been all over this, but because it's got white, she'll probably ignore it. So that is the foundation paper piecing one that I'm going to get done. I don't know what order I'm going to do these in. I think I may end up just putting them on a wheel and spinning them up. Now, these are a couple of projects that I haven't quilted yet, and these were just on top. So this is a Halloween one that we had. This is available on the channel. Again, this was foundation paper piecing. So we've got the pumpkin, we've got the cat, we've got the witch, and then the bat. So that just needs, that's my wall hanging. So that just needs to be quilted. So some of these ones will obviously get done pretty quick, and I'm going to do them between customers. Like I'm actually slotting my stuff in the queue because I'm not getting anything done. All right, this one here, this one is made from leftovers from a fat quarter shop, I think it was a block of the month that I got, or it may have just been a quilt set that I got, but I used up my leftovers and made this cute little table topper, or I could turn it into like a European size pillow, which is most likely what I'll do. So that was leftover stuff that I used, that including the background fabric was all leftover, which is a tone on tone. And I can't remember if I did a video for this. I think this might have actually been a live stream on a Thursday, which was crafting with DDs. So there's that one. And this was all done on a live stream as well. So this is one that I have had sitting there, and I'll try and show you as much as I can. But this one was a fat quarter shop one, and it has like all these side panels on it to create the border. And then it's got, you know, a heap of blocks and all that sort of stuff. So let me just stand up and show you what it looks like. So that's some of the blocks that we have there. You can see, and then that's the border. So, and then around the other way. So basically I have a snowflake that I'm thinking that I'm going to put on this as the quilting pattern. So yeah, so that is that one. And this is finished. It's ready to go. I've got all the binding and everything for that. So it just needs to be quilted now. So this is another one that is going to go into the queue and be done sooner rather than later. All right, let me just pause for a second and grab some more stuff. Okay, so one of the boxes that I have here is for that pattern, and it is the Among the Stars again. So they ran this in two different colorways over a couple of years, and this is what the quilt is looking like. Okay, and obviously I couldn't show you that whole thing because my camera is a little bit too small. So that is what that looks like, and I have all the binding and everything ready to go in here. That has been all cut up and ready to go, so you can see that there. And basically this is all leftovers in here. So once I've done everything, I will look at the leftovers that I've got. I will either put them into my stash or I will make it into something else, but that means that this box is definitely gone. All right, the next one that I have, this has been around. I'm almost embarrassed to say how long this has been around. This has been around for at least, oh, I want to say 8 to 9 years. I'm pretty sure I was doing this back in 2014, actually, so probably 10 years. That's pretty scary. Now, I got this through a company called fabricdirect.com.au, and it was a block of the month. Now, I have not finished doing all of these or in any way, shape, or form. I have added some extra fabrics that I've come across along the way. I still have like month 9 to do. I also have bits of fabric here that are left over. I have no idea what I actually need to do in this on that because it has been so long. So I have all these bits and pieces in it, and the quilt that I'm talking about is The Farmer's Wife. Now, this one here, I can make up the blocks that I need to make up for it. These are all 6.5-inch blocks, I believe. I have shown this before on the channel and said, you know, I'm going to get into it and all the rest of it, but I keep procrastinating. So I have a number of the blocks that are already done. As you can see, they've just been in their container. They're not ironed. They've just been sitting there. For the most part, they're flat. And they're just a lot of beautiful colors are put together. Now, the blog post is still up there on how to finish and all that sort of stuff because I went and checked that. And I don't really, at this point in time, like I've missed the boat on it. I don't necessarily have to worry about it, how I'm going to do it. I just figured what I will do is maybe find some, you know, nice little pink fabric like this for the sashing, maybe even some white for the sashing because there is some of that in there, and just go for it and get it all done. So I just figured, you know, this would make a really good lap quilt. At this point, it's been around for so long. I've got, as I said, I've got fabric there. I can make a few extra blocks if I need to. But basically what I figured I'd do was just start sewing these together in any way, shape or form. I might, you know, get some light blue or some pink fabric, as I said, and make a sashing, maybe do some cornerstones. I'm just going to take the least path of resistance so I can get these things done and dusted and these boxes emptied out. So it's been really cathartic for me to go through my stuff and get these boxes. I got this idea for the scrapbooking boxes from my friend Michelle over on Instagram, Michelle_trails. And it's really good because I have to look at them every time I walk out. They're up on a shelf and I have to look at them. So it's been in you know, in the forefront of my mind to actually have these there to work on, but I've still been procrastinating. So it's enough of procrastination now. So you can see there's about 3 here. So you can see there's lots of little blocks. I think they're 8.5 inches. No, 6.5 inches, sorry. So I got the book as well. So I'll be able to make some extra blocks if I need to. But I'll go through it and count how many they are. Of course, I'm going to vlog as I'm going as well. Anytime I work on them, I'll just set the camera up. They're not going to be, you know, anything super fancy. You know, I'll just put the camera up and have that going, and then I can splice some stuff together to use it as B-roll or whatever the case may be. So yeah, so these are going to get sewn together. As I said, I do have, let me just get that in. I do have a pack here, and I believe this is the finishing pack. So I do have these here. And this was month 9. From what I can gather, that was when we put them all together because we did quite a number over the month. So yeah, so it says month 9 and it's got a fair chunk of fabric in there. So especially in that white. So I should be able to use that white as the sashing. And then I've got enough in there to do the blue binding or whatnot. Worst case scenario, I can use this as a binding. And then I have, so I've got all those, but then I have some of these left to do. And there's even more fabric in here for leftovers. There's the white fabric as well. And then I've got these for leftovers. And then there's all this for leftovers. So I should be able to make a few extra blocks and make it a decent size lap quilt for in the lounge room. I know that I've said a couple of times I'm going to do it for the lounge room, but you know, like my husband's in there, I'm in there, and all the rest of it. And if I need to make extra blocks, I do actually have the book as well, which is a valuable resource. And I've ticked the blocks that I've done through here, so I won't double up or anything like that. And I've got a list of blocks that we have done. So yeah, I've got a list there of all the ones that I've already done, which is in there as well. So kudos to me for keeping it all together for that long. And as I said, it's in this scrapbooking container. So that makes it super easy just to pick that up and work on it. All right, the next one I have is, oh, it just fell over, is my heart quilt that I started last year. I think I started this. And this was on a, I started doing this on a crafting with DDs on a Thursday. Now, I haven't been doing the crafting with DDs on Thursday because I got sidelined and with stuff and all that sort of stuff. So these are the heart blocks that I've done on the channel before. I did a table runner, and all the things that I've talked about today, I will link up down below so you can go and check them out. But I've done some of these hearts. Now, I have a lot of fabric already cut. I've got stuff here to make triangles. I have a ton of parts ready to be constructed, and then I've got a ton of also a ton of these already cut and ready to go to add the white squares onto. And then I have all the leftover bits and pieces from this block that I'm going to turn into something. And I also have like cornerstones and all that sort of stuff. So everything that I cut from this, including the little ones, that I'm going to turn into a quilt. And of course, I've got some leftover fabric, which is going to help with binding and borders and all that sort of stuff. So my plan is, so you can see here, I've made a bit of bunting. So whenever I sew something together, I sew the half square triangles together, and then I'm going to make either some pillowcases or something to go with the quilt. This quilt will probably end up going in Mia's room. And this is my very, very archaic quilt pattern. So basically, we're going to have a heart and then a space in between, and I'm going to try and make a decent sized quilt. And then I've got all those half square triangles, which I might be able to use in the border because they match. So we'll see how we go with that. So this one is one that is not going to take super long because you can do a lot of chain piecing with this one. So I'm actually going to be taking this with me down to Brisbane when I go down to Brisbane for 3 weeks to look after little M. So I'm going to take this with me, and I'm taking my sewing machine and all that sort of stuff. So I will be able to still vlog what I'm doing and all that, and get that somewhat further along. I'm also taking the foundation paper piecing, and I'm going to strip the colors, the paper off the back of that, so that way it's done. And then I can come back and I can sew it together. All right, the next one that I'm going to talk about now, this one is one we did as a row by row. And of course, I never finished my row by row for this one because I basically, bear with me for a second, I just lost a piece there. Basically, what happened was I could only show so much on the camera. So I basically did what I could do on the camera for people to finish their quilt, and just told them step by step what to do and all that sort of stuff. We had a lot of quilts that were finished back in when this was done. I cannot tell you when this was done. And I believe these are now unlisted as well. So these are actually going over onto Patreon as well. So you'll get to see that. Now, you'll get to see what it is, and I will remind everybody that it's gone. So these are all leftover bits and pieces of fabric, which should actually be in here. And I've got, like, I used a fat quarter pack, so I've still got some of these grey bits and pieces as well, which I'm actually going to just turn into a fat quarter quilt top, because there's some beautiful fabrics in there, and I'll be able to just I can either turn them into 10-inch squares and do something like that, or I can just take the fat quarter and sew them together. And then I've got a nice quilt that I can use for a picnic or something along those lines. So I have all that. I think I've got 2 rows to add on to this. So the rows are all done. I just haven't finished adding them to the quilt. So you can see here we've got that one there to add on, and they're beautiful colors. And I'm just looking to see if I've got the color. I don't think I actually remember what it was called. And there is also a panel, which I don't seem to see it here. There is a panel as well that came with this fat quarter pack, which I think I've actually got that sitting over here. I've put some panels together that are over on a trolley. So I may end up doing the panel and then putting these around the outside. It'll be very much in a similar vein of color, but depending on how much I have left of the fabric for the binding and all that sort of stuff will depend wholly and solely on what I'm going to make with the leftovers and stuff like that. So I might make, a couple of cushion covers or something like that out of the out of the fat quarters as well. So, but they are all the leftover bits and pieces out of the fat quarter pack, and I've got borders and everything. So this, I'm pretty sure I've got one or two. I've actually got 2 rows to 1 row to fully construct and 2 rows to add on, and then we're done. So I'm going to stand up and show you what we've got done so far. So this is great. This is going to hold me accountable for sure. So you can see I've done the borders up to where they need to be. I showed everybody how to, so you can see these are not fully attached because I still had rows to add on. So this was our row by row. This was our first row by row that we did. Okay, and so you can see there that we've got the stars, we've got some simple blocks, then we've got some pinwheels with triangles on the end, like snowballed. We've got some flying geese, and friendship stars, and then down the bottom we have this zigzag one. So I've got 2 more rows to add on to this. 1 row's already constructed. Then I've got, I think I've got a couple of little places of blocks that I've got to put together. So I've got to get all that together and then I'll be able to do that. So there, that is all that. And they're 6 across. And yeah, so you can see that. And then that will be ready to go. So I've only got the borders sort of just hanging on there to show people how the border goes on. I've got all the fabric for this. So yeah, I'm pretty happy. I think actually that's the last one I've got to put on. I think that's it. So yeah, maybe I was thinking of that one down the bottom. But anyway, that is my row by row. Again, this has gone to unlisted. So it'll be another one that will be available over on the lowest tier for Patreon. And then that way we have it all done. So it's got bits and pieces hanging off it. But yeah, so this one you'll get to see over the next coming months of that getting done as well. So you can see I've got a lot of content here that I can use to get this stuff done. So it makes sense to do it as a finish it Friday. All right. That's that one. Let me close that back up and put the other bit in. Like, I'm pretty good at keeping everything together. Sometimes I've lost some things, and I think that's why I ended up getting like that. All right. So that's that one. The next one I'm going to talk about is also a row by row. This one was the Autumn Splendor. This one was the Autumn Splendor, and this has a long way to go. I never ended up finishing, like I finished the tutorials and all that sort of stuff, but I didn't end up finishing the quilt myself. So this one, as I said, is called Autumn Splendor. This one has a lot of the blocks already done. So you can see here, I just ended up doing the blocks and then saying construct it this way. And then we've got rows that are done. I've got bits and pieces everywhere in this. So let me just move that over there so I don't lose it. So we have our rows. And because we had done a row by row before, I didn't actually have to do a full-on finishing one. So we have that one. That's that row. We also have this row, which is one of my favorites. This is also a cross stitch as well. So you can actually stitch this in cross stitch. Excuse me. And I've had a couple of emails of late if we were going to do another row by row. People like the row by rows because it's one block and you just do 6 of them. So this is the next row. I've already started constructing that. So I've just got to put 2 blocks onto that. So there's the second one. So I've got 4 of them together. And then we've got this one here, which is our, and it's all autumn sort of related. So this is our maple leaf, and they sort of go into each other. So basically all I have to do is put this actual quilt together and get it done. Now there is a little, there's a lot here that haven't been sewn together. Like, I basically did less and less as the video course went on because we were doing exactly the same thing. So yeah, so there's that block, and I've done a couple of those. But as you can see, I still have a lot of fabric left. We've also got this one here. which is, I've just folded that up. So that's 6 of those blocks there. Bear paw is what they call it. And I still have some blocks that are under construction as well. So we have this one here. Excuse me. So yeah, I've got all my bits and pieces in here. I've got all the fabric that I need. I've got the binding and border fabrics and all that sort of stuff. I'm just looking for, so I've got some of these left over that I'm going to use for cushions to match the quilt. I've got little leftover bits and pieces and borders, and I've got templates that I need to finish off because I actually have to finish off. I've done one row, I've done one block, but I still have to do the rest of the row of these particular ones. So we have the sunflower ones. So we got to the point where we were just making the blocks. And this one, obviously I have to press and all that sort of stuff, but this is a little foundation paper piecing one. Sorry, English paper piecing one. And yeah, so we've got that there. So I've got to make 5 more of those. We have another basket that we've got to add on. So these are the blocks that we've got. We've got that to do. I have 2 more of these to do. And let me just have a look what we've got here. We've got all my templates and everything that I need. Everything is here. So that's what the block looks like, the little sunflower block. So that is the only one I think I have left to do of the row. So let me just have a look. Yeah, there's the overall quilt there. So I've got everything done except for the sunflower ones, and I think 2 of the bottom rows. So that's what the quilt will look like. That is also what the cross stitch looks like as well, which I must admit I have not stitched up. But there were a couple of people that did stitch this up. So you'll be, if you go back through our photos, you might see a couple of progress pictures and stuff like that. But that's what it's going to look like when it's finished. Again, this will be available over on Patreon on the lowest level because these are things that have already been done but have been unlisted. So a lot of time with my and then if anybody else wants the pattern once I'm finished it and everything and I've double checked everything, then the pattern will be actually for sale. And then you will be able to gain access to those video tutorials from the pattern. All right, so let me get that all back in. So they are the 2 row by rows, which do have a lot of work left in them. They won't take long once I get started, but still they have a fair bit of work in them that I need to do and all that sort of stuff. And I still do, as I said, have all those fat quarters and everything from the other one that I can make another quilt of. And I do have some of the fat quarters left from this one that I'll be able to make cushions and everything like that. Okay, the next one that I've got, just bear with me, I'm just going to go grab it. Okay, so the next one that I'm going to talk about is a fat quarter shop. This was the 2018 designer mystery one. Okay, I've done all the blocks for this and I have ended up having to add fabric to it because I didn't get all the bits and pieces that I needed from it. So basically I have all these bits and pieces cut up and I've got fabric left over and I have to make a heap of these. So I'm going to endeavour to make enough of these to finish the quilt. The quilt is not put together yet. It's just all the blocks and everything. And I'm just looking for the picture of the quilt and what it looks like. So this is not a very good picture, but that's what the layout's supposed to look like. So I have to make these here. And then there's these little stars are all on the border. So we've got like this star here all the way around. I'm not going to have enough fabric to do that. So I'm just going to finish off these, which I think is there's 4 of those, 2, 4, 6. There's 6 of those. So I've got to make another 5 and then that's done. And then I'm supposed to put some stars all the way around. I'm not going to have enough fabric for that because I didn't get the finishing pack. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a couple and I'm probably just going to cornerstone them. And so then that way I'll use up a little bit extra fabric and then I'm just going to finish the rest of the quilt off. And because I didn't get the finishing pack, I had to try and find some fabric that matched. And so as you can see down the bottom here, I've got this dotted fabric. So I've got that for all the sashing as well. So I think that I'll be fine and I'll get a lot of that done. I'm just going to try and pull these blocks out to show you what I've got. So as I said, this is still under construction. So that's a one block. This is another one. Sorry about it not being ironed, but it's, you know, it's in its container. That's all that matters, right? It's all together. I can press it as I go. And I'm sure that anybody who's a quilter knows that that is always the case. So we've got that one there. We've got that one there. That one there. That one. I love the orange in this. The orange just makes it really pop. If I had made this one again, I probably would have done a little bit of orange in that one. I find that block to be very bland. And there's that one. I mean, overall, it'll go well in the quilt, but yeah. So I had this green that was throughout the quilt. So I've gone with a darker green for the background, which I had ample of that here. So yeah, so that tripped me up a little bit because I didn't have the finishing pack. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to have enough fabric. And anybody that's made a fat quarter shop quilt block of the month designer mystery, know you get plenty of fabric in it to do some, but I definitely did not have enough in this to do the finishing. Like, if I had got the finishing pack, I would have had ample left over, but I just didn't have enough for that. All right, the next one that I'm going to talk about is A Trip Among the Stars. This is an English paper piecing one. So this is, and these are all my priority ones that I've talked about. So Trip Among the Stars looks like this. It's by the Soalicious Baker. It's a mini quilt. Now, this is all English paper piecing, and basically it's taking these little diamonds, which, let me just see if I've got one here. Taking these little diamonds in either white or the colored, well, in both, and making something like this. So it ends up being a 2-inch hexagon. I have made two and one white star. So I have thought about this and thought about this and thought about this, and I'm like, you know what, this is going to take me forever. I'm just going to do it as hexagons, because at the end of the day, it's going to be the same thing anyway. So what I decided to do is I'm just going to make I've done all the white ones, so I'm going to use the template, and I've got all my fabric here, and I've done all the corners already on this. And if you've been around for a while, you've already seen this a couple of times on Slow Stitching Saturday. Whether or not this becomes part of the Finish It Friday, or whether it goes to a Slow Stitching Saturday, I don't know. But anyway, we have the corners are done. So I've just, you know what, I thought to myself, I'm just going to do hexagons. I'm still going to be able to make that star, okay, because they're hexagons, the stars. It'll just be solid colors. It just won't be like we'll have white hexagons in here without color around it, or I'm just going to end up just putting all color in. So I'm going to play it by ear and just go with what I can go with. Because it's still going to give me the star. This will just be a solid star. And this center bit here that I've already done, I've actually made that a white, all those colored solid ones white, and then the center one a color. So I believe that I'm going to be able to do that. So this outside area where the white is, I will do solid. I'll probably do those as solid colors, and then I might be able to yeah, I'll work it out. I'll work something out where I can, because there's another row that I'll be able to do where I might be able to have a white star. We'll see where we end up, but I'm going to just fluff around with that, and I'm going to use hexagons, and I'm going to get this finished, because it's going to sit here for a month of Sundays and never get done if I don't do something about it. So they are my priority quilts that I'm going to be working on for the next however long it takes me. So you will see these appear every time I do a Finish It Friday QuiltTube. I hope that you have subscribed to the channel, because then that way you're not going to miss out on it, and you're going to get to see these things finish. The ones that go into the long arm machine and stuff like that, I'm just going to set the camera up. You can see me setting it up and all that sort of stuff, and then I'll show them when they're finished after the binding's gone on and all that sort of stuff. I have a ton of binding as well, so you'll see some B-roll of that being done and all that sort of stuff as well. So as I said, now I've got threads all over me. I'm going to have to de-thread myself. As I said, you will see that I'm going to do it as a QuiltTube Finish It Friday. You're going to hold me responsible to get all the things that I need to get done finished, and then that way we can get some of these projects off the shelf, because it's no good them sitting on the shelf doing nothing and getting them done. And of course, course, I will just start them and they'll probably continue on in the Finish It Friday. I do have a few other quilts that are packed away at the moment, and I cannot for the life of me remember whether they are actually finished or not. If they're not, they will go into the rotation, and together we're going to get some stuff done. So I implore you to go and get your whips out, and every Friday come and join me. And well, it'll be a pre-recorded video, and occasionally, you never know, I might do a Thursday live stream. You just never know as the year progresses on, especially when the weather gets a bit colder. I do quilt a little bit more then. All right, that is it from me today. Have a wonderful day, everybody. As I said, don't forget to subscribe and also hit that like button as well, and maybe share this concept over with your friends as well so they can come and join in the fun. But that is it for me today. Have a wonderful day, everybody, and don't forget, keep getting some stitches in, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.